The relationship between Christians and the mainstream media has been a subject of controversy and debate in recent years. Many Christians have grown increasingly suspicious of the motivations behind the mainstream media's reporting, and for good reason. The mainstream media's blatant bias, double standards, and outright hostility towards Christian values have led many to question whether they can trust the information being presented to them. One of the primary reasons Christians cannot trust the motivations of the mainstream media is the overt bias that permeates many news outlets. Studies have shown that the majority of journalists and news anchors identify as liberal, and this bias often seeps into their reporting. This is particularly evident in the way that Christian values and conservative viewpoints are presented. Often, Christian perspectives are mocked, ridiculed, or marginalized, while liberal viewpoints are promoted and touted as mainstream. This bias creates a narrative that is skewed against Christian values and fosters an atmosphere of distrust among Christians. Another reason Christians cannot trust the mainstream media is the double standards that are often applied. When a Christian individual or organization is accused of wrongdoing, the mainstream media is quick to jump on the story and sensationalize it. However, when a liberal or secular individual or organization is accused of similar wrongdoing, the mainstream media often downplays or ignores the story altogether. This double standard creates an impression that the mainstream media is more interested in promoting a particular agenda than in reporting the truth. Furthermore, the mainstream media's hostility towards Christian values is often palpable. Many news outlets have been quick to label Christian individuals and organizations as extremist or hateful simply because they hold traditional Christian views on issues such as marriage, abortion, and sexuality. This kind of labeling is not only unfair but also dangerous, as it creates a climate of intolerance and hostility towards Christians. The mainstream media's willingness to promote and amplify voices that are critical of Christianity while ignoring or marginalizing Christian voices only serves to further erode trust. The mainstream media's coverage of Christian persecution is another area where their motivations are called into question. Despite the fact that Christians are the most persecuted religious group in the world, the mainstream media often ignores or downplays this issue. When they do cover it, they often focus on the perceived flaws of Christians rather than the injustices they face. This lack of attention and concern for Christian persecution raises questions about the mainstream media's priorities and motivations. In addition, the mainstream media's promotion of secular and liberal values as the default or normal perspective is also a concern for Christians. This promotion often comes at the expense of Christian values and creates an impression that Christianity is outdated, intolerant, or irrelevant. The mainstream media's willingness to promote and glorify lifestyles and behaviors that are contrary to Christian teaching, such as abortion, homosexuality, and transgenderism, while marginalizing or mocking Christian viewpoints on these issues, only serves to further alienate Christians. Finally, the mainstream media's lack of accountability and transparency is another reason why Christians cannot trust their motivations. The mainstream media often reports on stories without fact-checking or verifying the accuracy of the information. This lack of accountability has led to numerous instances of fake news and misinformation being spread, which can have serious consequences. The mainstream media's refusal to acknowledge and correct the mistakes, combined with a lack of transparency in their reporting methods and sources, only serves to erode trust further. In conclusion, the mainstream media's bias, double standards, hostility towards Christian values, lack of coverage of Christian persecution, promotion of secular and liberal values, and lack of accountability and transparency all contribute to a climate of distrust among Christians. As a result, many Christians have come to view the mainstream media with skepticism and are seeking alternative sources of information that are more trustworthy and aligned with their values. Ultimately, the mainstream media must take steps to address these concerns and demonstrate a commitment to fairness, balance, and accuracy in their reporting if they hope to regain the trust of Christians.